I want you to imagine, just for a second, that you woke up tomorrow and you were suddenly spectacularly rich. Maybe an old investment just went to the moon, maybe a side hustle exploded overnight, or hey, maybe you received a massive inheritance or hit the absolute jackpot on the lottery. Statistically speaking, out of everyone watching this explainer right now, someone is going to find themselves in exactly this scenario. But here is the terrifying reality. Most people who get rich fast have absolutely no idea how to manage it. They haven't built wealth before, and they are incredibly vulnerable. So as your virtual private wealth manager today, it's my job to make sure you actually survive the windfall. Okay, let's dive into this and, quite frankly, protect you from yourself.
Think of today's session as a strict, one-on-one client consultation. We have a clear itinerary designed to build and preserve your generational wealth. We're going to quickly cover this sudden wealth trap, how to secure your perimeter, strategies to stop the bleeding, calculating your freedom figure, building the preservation portfolio, and finally, understanding that true wealth is actually time. All right, let's get straight to work.
Section 1. The sudden wealth trap, the cautionary tale. Look, the stark reality is that getting rich quickly is incredibly dangerous. Without a concrete plan, you're far more likely to lose your friends, alienate your family, suffer a much greater risk of substance abuse, and ultimately face a messy divorce. Let me anchor our stakes today with a staggering number: $314.9 million. This was the massive Powerball jackpot won by a man named Jack Whittaker back in 2002. At the time, it was literally the largest jackpot ever won by a single ticket. The guy had the whole world at his fingertips. But Jack experienced an absolute tragedy, entirely because he did the exact opposite of what any sane wealth manager would advise. He was not stealth rich. Instead, he went around telling everyone. He wanted to be the nice guy, you know? He handed out millions to his church, bought his friends brand new cars, and gave stacks of cash to total strangers who asked for help. Now you might be thinking, well, he had a good heart and good things happen to kind people. But the reality? People descended on him like vultures. His wife divorced him, his friends completely abandoned him, and worst of all, his granddaughter, who he heavily spoiled with his newfound wealth, tragically died from a fatal overdose. Jack actually admitted later on that his desire to just be the nice guy completely destroyed both his fortune and his family. So how do we avoid that? Let's move to Section 2. Secure your perimeter. Immediate triage actions. These are the immediate, non-negotiable defensive moves we take the very moment that money hits your account, ensuring you don't become the next Jack Whittaker. Step 1 is absolute privacy. You must become stealth rich. I know the temptation is going to be to scream it from the rooftops, but once people know you have money, they will look for ways to sue you, scam you, or blackmail you. Tell literally no one. Step 2. The only person you do tell is a highly qualified trust attorney. Setting up a trust gives you a massive layer of legal privacy and can save you absolute millions in taxes. And step 3, and this one always surprises my clients, keep working for at least 6 months. Look, if your current job is miserable, fine, quit that specific job, but find another one immediately. Why? Because being rich and bored is a fatal financial combination. When you suddenly quit working, you have 24/7 to just think about spending. People get bored and randomly buy a restaurant they know nothing about, only to end up bankrupt and getting screamed at on Gordon Ramsay's kitchen nightmares. Keep your routine to process the shock. Working means you aren't spending. Section 3. Stop the bleeding. Triage the finances. Now that our perimeter is fully secure, we've got to stop the immediate financial leaks that drain sudden wealth faster than anything else. We have to triage your debts. You might think, hey, I'm rich, I'll just pay everything off in one go. Yeah, not so fast. Take a look at this comparison. High interest debt, like those credit cards sitting at 20 to 30%, needs to be annihilated immediately. Paying off a 20% credit card is the exact same as earning a guaranteed 20% risk-free return on your money. But low-interest debt, say you have a really cheap mortgage locked in at 2 or 3%, it might actually be much smarter to keep that debt. Why? Because we can take your wealth, invest it, and easily generate a return higher than 3%, which effectively offsets what that debt costs you. It's just smart leverage. Okay, now we reach what is easily the most treacherous emotional minefield of sudden wealth. Should you lend money to family and friends? Because let me tell you, the moment you get rich, people close to you often start feeling a little entitled to a share. They'll justify it in their heads by thinking, well, they didn't earn it with honest hard work anyway. They're going to come with their hands out or suddenly pitch you these absolute genius business plans that they desperately need you to invest in. So the crucial point here is establishing rock-solid boundaries. As your wealth manager, this is my strict rule.
The fastest possible way to lose friends and family is to lend them money. Just do not do it. But if someone genuinely needs help and you truly want to assist them, you give them a one-time cash gift. You do not expect a single dime to be paid back. However, and this is the key, it comes with a firm, non-negotiable condition. They are never allowed to ask you for money again. You cannot become their permanent emergency piggy bank, otherwise they will stop being responsible with their own money because they know you're always there to bail them out. Sometimes you really just have to be slightly cruel to be kind. I promise, it will save your relationships in the long run.
All right, moving to section 4, the freedom figure, defense to offense. We are now transitioning from wealth defense to wealth offense. I've seen lottery winners go out and buy $10 million mansions only for their dream to completely collapse under crushing maintenance debt, resulting in the house being desperately sold off at a massive loss. To prevent that toxic consumer mindset, we use the rule of 25. I need you to sit down and work out exactly how much income you realistically need each year to live your absolute desired dream life. Then you simply multiply that number by 25. This establishes your freedom figure. The absolute golden rule of wealth management is this: you must only spend the interest, which is the fruit, and you must never, ever chop down the principal, which is the tree. Let's look at the exact math on this. If you calculate that you desire a very comfortable $200,000 annual lifestyle, well, you need an investment target of $5 million. This is based on what the finance world calls a safe 4% withdrawal rate. You invest the $5 million, it generates $200,000 a year in interest, and you live entirely off that interest. The original $5 million stays completely intact forever.
So, Section 5, the preservation portfolio, allocating the windfall.
This brings up a really obvious question, right? If a regular bank account only pays like 0.5% in interest, where do we actually put this money to get those returns? We need to build a preservation portfolio. Because remember, at this stage of wealth, preservation heavily outweighs aggressive, risky growth. Let's break down a sample, highly diversified portfolio designed to weather market crashes while producing really reliable passive income. We take our capital and split it up like a pie. $1 million goes into a low-cost total stock market index fund, giving you a tiny piece of companies like Apple and Microsoft. $1 million goes into a broad bond market index fund for steady, much safer loans. $1 million is split across real estate, half in residential for property appreciation, half in commercial for steady tenant cash flow. Then we allocate a smaller $500,000 chunk to blue-chip crypto like Bitcoin as a high-growth moonshot. And finally, $1 million just sits in a high-interest savings account for total immediate liquidity. Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is how these historical numbers combine. Stocks have historically averaged around 9% over the last 20 years. Bonds sit nicely around 4%. Real estate brings in 7 to 8%. Crypto, while highly volatile, we can normalize to a 10 to 15% target range for the sake of the model. And right now, certain high-yield savings accounts offer up to 4.5%. When you blend all these historical yields together across that specific allocation we just built, this portfolio could generate roughly $312,500 every single year in passive income. And again, the beauty of it is that's without ever touching your underlying principal. But wait a second, hold on. If you've been paying very close attention to the math, you might have noticed a little discrepancy. Our target freedom figure was $5 million. But if you add up the allocations from the last segment, $1 million in stocks, $1 million in bonds, $1 million in real estate, $1 million in savings, and $500K in crypto, that only equals $4.5 million invested. What in the world happened to the remaining $500,000? Let's uncover the final piece of the puzzle. Section 6, True Wealth is Time, the final lesson. This brings us to my absolute most important philosophical lesson for the newly rich. That missing $500,000, that is your fun money gap. As your wealth manager, I actually want you to take that $500K and just spend it on whatever you absolutely like. Call it your guilt-free allowance. Buy the flashy car, take the ridiculously luxury vacation, just get it entirely out of your system. Because by intentionally reserving this 10% allocation right at the start, you satisfy that very human urge to splurge without ever compromising the $4.5 million generational money tree we just planted. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate difference between the newly rich who lose it all and the wealthy who actually stay wealthy. The consumer mindset looks at a bank balance and just sees all the shiny possessions they can chase, the Lambos, the mega mansions, the designer clothes. But the generational wealth mindset realizes that the ultimate flex of having money isn't buying things at all, it's buying back your time. True wealth is simply waking up in the morning and getting to decide exactly how you spend your day. It's never having to do things you don't want to do,
ever again. So if you follow this playbook, your perimeter will be secure, the leeches will be kept at bay, and your wealth will be entirely preserved. But that leaves one final, ultimate question for you to ponder. Once you have bought back your own time, what legacy will you build for the future? Think beyond yourself for a second. The money is literally just a tool. What you build with the time it buys you is the true measure of your wealth. Just something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and stay smart out there.